Hello, I'm Eric Buckland. I'm a historian with a focus on the men who rode with Mosby's Rangers. I've been researching their lives for 10 or 12 years now, and what's important to me is, especially from this area known as Mosby's Confederacy, Loudoun, Fauquier, Warren, and Clark County, which really makes up a heritage area as well, is the Rangers were part of the fabric of, or one of the threads in the tapestry that makes up this area. They lived here before the war, they fought here during the war, and many of them remained here and contributed to the United States after the war. I'm in Sharon Cemetery in Middleburg. In this cemetery are about 30 men who rode with Mosby's Rangers. Many of them have very interesting stories, sad in many cases, violent in other cases. I'd like to share some of those with you. Again, not to put any of these men up on a pedestal, although I do have some men I truly respect here, but just to tell their stories, and again, how those stories were woven into this area and to the history of our country. I'd like to start with William Henry Smallwood. He was 17 when he began to ride with Mosby's Rangers. And on July 6, 1864, in a fight just down the road from Middleburg at Mount Zion Church, Smallwood was mortally wounded, and he would die the next day. He was only 18 years of age. He was the only Ranger to be killed in that fight, a fight that was a decisive victory for the Rangers against the 2nd Massachusetts and the 13th New York Cavalry. But again, this is the grave of 18-year-old William Henry Smallwood, a Mosby Ranger. I'm standing next to the marker for Mosby Ranger Henry H. Harry Hatcher. Hatcher started the war with the 7th Virginia Cavalry under the command of Turner Ashby. It's reported that while he was riding with Ashby, he on one occasion actually saved Ashby's life. When he was engaged with 3 or 4 Union cavalry troopers, Hatcher rode into the fray and saved Ashby. He would begin to ride with Mosby's Rangers even while he was still with the 7th Virginia, and eventually would come over and muster into Mosby's Rangers. Mosby himself called Harry Hatcher the bravest of the brave. He had another nickname in the command, in Mosby's command, and that was Deadly. And that was a reflection of his prowess with his Colt revolvers. He was truly a warrior, absolutely no question about that. But there's a story told on him by another Ranger, the name of Sid Ferguson, who would be a reverend after the war in West Virginia. And Sid related a story several times about on one occasion when a group of Rangers were riding across the Manassas battlefield, and to their front they saw a group of Union cavalry, and they immediately launched into an attack against a small group of Union cavalry. Now, most of the Union troopers mounted their horses and began to ride away, but there was one young Union trooper who stood his ground. And as the Rangers were riding down on him, he continued to fire. Now, many of the Rangers broke off and chased the Rangers who were, the Union troopers who were fleeing. But Hatcher saw this young man standing his ground, firing against the other Rangers, putting himself in grave danger. And Hatcher broke away and rode over to this Union trooper. And as he was riding up to him, shouting, "Put that gun down! Put that gun down! You're going to get killed!" And he rode up to this Union trooper, demanded his surrender, asked him what he was doing. He was going to be killed. He was just a young man. And he picked that Union trooper up, snatched him up, and put him on the back of his saddle, and eventually, or essentially, saved his life. On his marker, something that I've always found interesting is the fact that there's nothing about the 43rd Virginia Cavalry, Mosby's Rangers, or Mosby's Rangers. It simply says Harry Hatcher, Company A, 7th Virginia Cavalry. And I always found that to be interesting. I don't know the reason for that. He certainly was very proud of his time with the 7th, as was his family, and perhaps it's just a reflection of what unit he was most proud to have served in. Again, the grave of Mosby Ranger Harry Hatcher.